Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on the CMA 2021 online. Today we have a guest, someone that I've never met. It's a very good surprise. I had a lot of problems this morning to choose the title. I will show you on YouTube because he's just fantastic. Here is from Highland, David Munnelly. Hello, David.
Morning, how are you doing?
Great, and you?
Good.
So you had a concert yesterday night? Came back late?
Yes, yes, we played with COVID. Some concerts have been possible. Not a lot. The audience numbers have to be curtailed, so they have to be brought down to 50% here in Ireland. But we had some concerts, a little festival this week, not far from my home here. And last night I played, a small little concert also. So
but you play very, very often. I follow you on Facebook, of course, and you have actualities every day. It's fantastic.
I have something nearly every day. Like playing, or I do an awful lot of teaching online as well. But I used to play a lot more when times were normal.
Of course.
But these times, yeah. So these times, even traveling is more challenging. Like leaving. Going to Europe or America, for instance, is not as easy as it once was. So, but for now, it's okay.
Yeah. So just before we begin this interview, we will begin by a short title of you that you play duet with McGowan.
Shane McGowan is one of my favorite musicians. He's a very accomplished and amazing guitar player from a bit north of my home place here, County Sligo. He has a very famous name because there's a famous Shane McGowan, the singer, who recorded with the Pogues. He recorded Fairy Tale in New York.
Whoa.
Very popular song worldwide. And but this Shane McGowan is equally, if not more, talented.
Great. So we listen immediately that duet, and I want to say hello to the first people who arrive on the chat. Joël Burachi, hello, and good morning, Anna Bodel, the General Secretary of the CMA, and Peter Vacek, our delegate from Czech Republic. Hello, Peter, my friend. Enjoy that music, Peter. You will love. And we go immediately with this duet. That was the first video just to present you. How did you arrive to this accordion? How did you begin the accordion and why?
The diatonic accordion in Ireland is an instrument very much associated with folk music, as it is in a lot of Europe.
Yeah.
Its origins is folk music. And, excuse me, growing up, my grandmother, my mother's mother, we lived in the same house, and she played the melodeon, the single low instrument, the Cajun accordion, I think you call it, or with the four stoppers. And I grew up listening to this lady playing this music, and as a young child, baffled, like completely in awe of this ability. And at a young age saying, I want to do that. And back then, I'm 45, so when I was 5, so 40 years ago.
Yesterday.
Which is a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was 5, 6 years of age, and I was listening to this. And back then, we didn't have all these distractions that we have now. I think it's harder for some young kids now to learn an instrument.
Of course.
And to be passionate about an instrument because there's so much going on. So back then, you're a lot more focused, if you want, because there was less things flying around.
Yeah, of
There
course.
was no internet, there was no Facebook, there was no. And I heard this woman playing, and her son, my uncle, used to visit, and he also played. My grandmother was one of 13 children, Catholic Irish family, and she had 9 brothers. 9 brothers that
Efficient
played
family.
fiddle. So there's 9 fiddle players in one house. Like, that's phenomenal. Like, you don't have that anymore. You don't have that fullness of talent, really. And so growing up listening to this woman, I wanted to play. And she was my first really and only music teacher. And how she taught, I can't read music, so I don't read music. So it wasn't, oh, you play this, and she'd write, no. It was all by ear. So she'd play, and then she'd hand you the instrument. And for about 7 months, I was freaking out because she would only play the piece of music, a reel or a jig, a traditional melody, maybe once a day. Because she had things to do. She had to make food or wash potatoes, or she cleaned the house. Or my mother was working at that time, so she was looking after the kids, her grandchildren. So she played the tune. Music to my grandmother was very important. It was like a religion. It was something she believed. It's something that kept her sane. It kept her level. It kept her grounded. And that's something I learned from my grandmother. So that's how I came to the instrument, through this lady, through this old woman. And to this day, she's still in my head as being this giant of a musician, really. Someone that not necessarily for playing, she wasn't there was no Richard Galliano-ness in her play, but there was a lot of heart and a lot of she gave you your first love for something.
Yeah. And we feel that on your music. It's very impressive because we have the first things I really thought, and I wrote it on my paper this morning. So it's finesse, temperament, energy, swing, technique. There's everything, but most of this there is that. When you play, you are fully on your
there
music.
has to be.
Yeah,
There
of
has
course.
to be. Otherwise, it's not music, really. It's
Yeah, and that's a good message to give to the young generation of accordionists on this competition, because the competition, life is a competition. I don't like the name competition, but life is a competition every day for everything. So we can call it as we want, but the only goal of that is to make improving, give the motivation to this young generation who are lost, like you said, in too many activities, and then they give them the passion to practice more, motivation, and that's why we're here. And the message you just said regarding your grandmother, and when we see you playing like that, if you don't have that, you play for nothing, I think, yeah.
I think it must, as I said, it must be difficult for a generation of people that can do this with their laptops and their computer games, to pick up an instrument that isn't plugged into the wall, that doesn't have batteries, that doesn't light up. There's no tricks to it. There's no gimmicks. There's no technology.
Yeah.
It's a wooden box with reeds and an air bellows, and you do that and you produce sound. So I can understand, to a generation of people, this is quite Neanderthalish. We use that word. What is it? Where do I plug this in? Can I check my emails on this? No.
No.
It is an instrument it's something very physical,
Yeah.
that you have to work at to produce something. You can't type in a code and it gives you something. You have to work at it. Without this, as you say, it's plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's artificial.
Yeah.
It's not real. And maybe in a way we could look at an instrument, and in particular we talk about the accordion, as something that might, in the future, and hopefully with all these kids and young people playing accordion all over the world, that it might bring them back to something a bit more natural.
Yeah.
So with all our technology,
definitively.
sometimes something simple like a button accordion or a chromatic accordion can actually, there's more to life than technology or rushing around or Facebook or all this kind of nonsense, And that's one thing I get from music, is that when you play music, I'm brought back to that 7-year-old child
Yeah.
that started.
Yeah. It's crazy because someone, I don't know if you know Rémi Geoffroy, yeah, and he began to be a friend of mine. I met him on Facebook and go on YouTube and see his energy, his talent, and I speak to him. We contact on Facebook and we begin to be friends after that. And we spoke about the competition and he said, yes, I'm interested with my student, whatever, and even participate this year. And I said, but can you give me some names? Because I don't know nobody in the Diatonique world. He said, the first one you need is David Munnelly, is the one. I said, okay. And immediately I go on Facebook, see you, and said, okay, you will be there. So we will listen now the second title I selected. It was very easy to select the title on YouTube because you send me your YouTube channel and I listen the first one, I say, yes, it's good. The second one, yes, it's good. The third one, yes, it's good. And after 6, I say, okay, I stop to look now because I will make a CMA live show for 2 hours. Okay, so the second one is again with McGowan and it's live at the Berliner Fringe Festival 21. Festival where?
The Berliner Fringe Festival is in County Mayo, my county, and it's a friend of mine runs a festival, a man called Sean Welsh. He's an arts administrator for an arts centre in this small town. And he runs this Fringe Festival, which is an art festival. It's either painting or literary arts, poetry, readings, plays, but also music. And this was our contribution.
Okay, we listen immediately that music. Yepa! And it's a dream to see you playing because on this kind of music, I think some other style perhaps not, but you never open your bellow, you are always here. And for a chromatic accordion, it's a dream to see that because it's such a nice.
It doesn't happen for chromatic, and for a lot because the music is so fast, and it's diatonic, as you know, so the instrument is in and out. So like, it is moving, but it's like moving very, very quickly.
Yes,
it's
yes.
like a hummingbird.
Yeah.
It's like moving very quick. But you're talking about music there, and the traditional and folk music is important. But lately we've seen an interest of folk musicians that play button accordion, interested in other musics, other genres, other disciplines, either through jazz or even classical music or world. This term, a term I don't like, but it's important to use, world music. What does world music mean? It means a gathering of music from other places around the world. And
everything is world music, of course.
Everything in the world. So, and that's lovely, but sometimes titles make it sound a bit. But I'm a big fan. When I was 14, I was given a recording of Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli, and that changed my out as a young folk musician coming from the west of Ireland. To hear this music was mind blowing, and it wasn't my music. It wasn't the music of my ethnic background. It was this foreign music that, looking back, it makes a great argument for reincarnation. I think I was from that time. I feel, when I listen to music like that, I feel like I'm from that time. I love the music of the 1920s and 30s, Irish American music, the music that emigrated, like people from all over Europe. They emigrated to the new land and brought their folk music with them. And while they were there, they got an opportunity to record music for the first time. And then they were put in a studio with maybe a Jewish guitar player or an Italian classical piano player to record Irish folk music. And then you had all these other, like, Irish people were hearing German or Italian or French music for the first time in America. They had to go to America to hear their cousins or their next door neighbors play music. Yes. And then they heard this new music that was coming up from the southern states called jazz. We call it now jazz. And could you imagine how mind-blowing that must have been for people that left parts of Europe to hear this foreign music for the first time? It must have been mind-blowing. And that's how I felt when I heard this tape of Django Reinhardt. And I've not been the same since. I've been inspired and driven and fascinated by their ability, their freedom of expression. Even if I do play folk music, and that's the other stuff I like to do is compose music and play music that I make up, that I fantasize, and that I try to play on an instrument traditionally that would be seen as kind of limited. It doesn't have the wow effect of its bigger chromatic cousin, but there's more young people stretching the boundaries of the instrument and even adding to the instrument, like more basses or more rows, making it a bit more flexible. And like it is possible to play Galliano or Piazzolla on a diatonic accordion. It just takes a bit more work.
Yeah, of course. But
a lot more work.
And on the contrary, now I don't know if it's the same in the other countries, but I see that in France, so many young players, they play your music. The diatonic music is a kind of style that you play, Irish, we call it Irish, and they play it but with a chromatic accordion. And more they try to have, they don't want to change the system most of them, but they have a very much smaller chromatic accordion and more easy to play because it's lighter, and they try to make the same effect. It's not the same, but it's great. It's great.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but I know, but it is like I think the Brosini or even some of the diatonic makers like Beltuna and Castagnari and all these companies are making chromatic, smaller 2 or 3 voice chromatic accordions with 120
It's new tendency. Yeah. Because more and more we discover your music. More and more we discover this kind of music, and we're absolutely in love with that. The tendency before was to play jazz, and Galliano opened a highway for that. But more and more now you sense this young generation playing this Irish music with this style and this energy is great.
I think it's important as even chromatic players to understand the history of the instrument and where it came from. And even the chromatic instrument, what was there before the chromatic instrument? There was a simpler system. There was a different system. There was more of a... There was less buttons. There was less basses. So we have to, if we go back in the history of that instrument that you play, the chromatic accordion, you go back nearer its cousin, the diatonic. Yeah. And I think, as you say, I have 2 students online from France that play 3-row and 4-row accordions, and they want to play Irish music, and they're flying across the keyboard, like they're able to do it. Yes, it's not the same, but you have to admire anyone that tries to do that. Like you have young people like playing Bach or playing. I know people that play Paganini on a diatonic accordion. Like there are crazy people out there. Thankfully.
Yeah. And there is Benjamin Mack. You know him?
Yeah.
He's playing Baroque music. He has one of his videos. He was my guest a few months ago, and I was crying when I discovered that he was playing this Baroque music with perfect style in a church. We forget the instrument, forget everything. We just listen Baroque music. It was perfect. Yeah. So now we change style totally. And can you please about Falling? It looked like it's composition of you.
So that leads me on to what I was talking about, is that I love, after this Django Reinhardt phase and this listening to the early 1920s music, as I was going on, I realized as much as I love traditional music, I have something else to say, I think. And you have this feeling down here that there's something else. And over the years, I was experimenting with different accordions, and I love color. I love chords. I love basses. I love, for an Irish player, that's kind of rare. That's not. So I was always kind of trying to add different basses and tune them a bit differently, and with the view of trying to say something else musically. And sometimes musically, to say something, you have to just sit in a corner and be on your own and make noise for your expressions to come out of your head. And this piece that you're going to play, Falling, is a piece that came with, over the years I suffered a lot with depression and anxiety. And I remember I lived in the Netherlands, in the city of Utrecht, for some 10 years, loved it. And I was walking into the city one day, and probably not a great day mentally in the head, but I remember these notes. This idea came to my head of what you're going to hear. The idea of notes falling down like that, falling. So going down the scale. And I remember that came to my head, so much so that I turned from going to the city and walked back home to record, because I don't write music, so I needed to record this melody before I forgot it. So I walked back the 7 minutes back to the house, played the melody, and that evening that tune was born.
And after you made video clip, after a very nice video clip on that.
Yeah, and then I done a clip just to show, because I wanted to say, as an Irish musician, there's a bit more to the musician. You're more than your nationality.
Of course. That's very nice message. But all the time, especially with Ukraine boy, when it's time to play Scarlatti, for example, I say, okay, forget you're a boy, forget you are 16 years old, forget you are from Ukraine, you play Scarlatti, you are an actor, you are a personage, forget everything.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. If it's here, it's right.
I think we will be friends. I hope. I like what you say. Okay, so we listen that Falling, it's a video more than 5 minutes, and in general I take only 3 minutes, but when I listen to the music I say, never I will cut that Falling. So, see you in 5 minutes 30. I really didn't expect that music when I listened this morning, and I said, what? What? There's absolutely no border with music and diatonic, of course not. But and the styles you mix inside, I want to say, okay, it's just David Munnelly. it's between
I
jazz,
think
baroque. It's you.
it's from listening to everything, from a love of jazz to classical to new, or even just mistakes. Sometimes a mistake, a fumble, can create an idea.
Yeah, of course.
So it's okay to mistake when you're writing music, when you're making up music. But even a mistake is you.
Of course.
You know, so
That's great. Okay, so let's go to another subject. You told me that you also teach online,
yes.
but not only
Yes.
online, I guess.
I teach via Zoom, like a lot of people. With this pandemic, a lot of my traveling was stopped. Like a lot of people, not just my traveling, musicians that I played professionally, and that stopped. We couldn't leave our homes, or we couldn't leave our country. So I said, right, what am I going to do? And a lot of people that I knew left the business, went off and became a school teacher, you know, or gave up being this little job, a professional musician. Of course, like, I mean, a lot of people freaked out. And I'm kind of very resilient person. If I'm faced with something, I say, well, I have to work around this. And I have to, but there was never a time where I said, I'm going to leave this. So I said, well, what's possible? So then I looked into, which I was doing before at a smaller level, was teaching interested people who wanted to learn to play an accordion, an Irish system accordion. And I just promoted it a bit more, and it built up to the point where I was like teaching a lot a week. And we had to stay at home, so it didn't matter. I didn't have to leave home. And it made it possible to remain as a musician during COVID.
And how do you teach? Because you told me that you don't read music, and it's very great because it's a barrier sometimes to the creativity. And how do you teach new song to new students, for example, or students?
A lot of the students, you start off teaching by ear. So you play the melody and you show them and you repeat it. So for 30 minutes, it's like, no, it's this. And you play again and they listen so they're all, at that time I might write some letters down, like just to help them if they're very young. But I find with some of the younger ones, if you get them young, at 7 or 8 years of age, and just start them listening. Because in the early days, you're teaching them to listen. And to listen not just to what they think is there, but what's actually there. Sometimes when we listen to music, we colour what's there by our own perception or ability. And with young people, like a lot of folk music is quite symmetrical, so it repeats, and a section of the melody repeats later on and repeats. So they're waiting for that repetition, and sometimes it's not there. So you have to let them know that you have to listen and you have to hear, and that's how I do it. I play, and then I might send them a voice memo of the tune played slowly so that they can listen and play along. And folk music, and traditional Irish music in particular, has always been passed down orally. It only in the 1700s it became notated. It was written down by some of the classical musicians, and also in the early 1900s by some of the archivists, people that were archiving this folk music. They had to write it down for history, for prosperity. Okay. But the best way to hear it, because you're not only learning the notes, you're learning the atmosphere, the character of the person that's teaching you.
You go straight to the point. Exactly. Yeah.
And you go to the source. You go to the by ear. You hear everything. You hear the tone of the instrument. You hear, because sometimes that's important. You know, what sound of an accordion do I like? Do I like musette, or do I like swing, or do I like American, or do I like dry? You know, so you have all these people, and then over time you notice some students, I don't like the sound of this. They might have a Horner black dot, and they might want something a bit more fancy or different tuning, and And I love to see that in people. They become someone that couldn't play to someone that has now an opinion on the sound of the instrument they want. And I find that then you know you're doing a good job.
Yeah, you're right. And also a big advantage you have when, for example, on these lessons, when the people look at you, first, before they listen, they look at you, and finally they, of course, imitate your movement too. And the movement makes the sound, and then you go straight to the point immediately. You don't lose time. You have the sounds and the movement, so that means you have the intonation. And of course, when you just read the things, you are blocked on your scores, and you just press a button at the right moment, and you lose totally the patient. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think a lot of notation is quite limiting, unless you are virtuoso, because a lot of the great players can use the sheet music as just a guide, but what they're playing isn't on the piece of paper. It's just there to give them an idea. So some of the amazing musicians, like you mentioned Galliano, like when he plays, it's all here.
Yeah.
Every note is here, but he might have a piece of paper to show him, right, the 14th part of the tune is over here, so I need to know where it is. I remember seeing a clip one time of Yehudi Menouin, the fiddle player. Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. And he played a piece from the 24 Capricci, the 24, and he was playing, brilliant. Sheet music, the full length of the stage. 4 music stands holding the... Then, second violinist was Stefan Grappelli. He walked on stage, he took the music stands, moved them off the stage, and played. Yep. The difference is the two genius players, both of them are genius.
Mm-mm. You're right.
Just one needed the piece of paper and one didn't.
Yeah, you're right. It's lovely.
For me, it was, how in the hell?
Okay, so we listen that. Do you remember the title of? It must be a composition of you. It's the one that it's written online music lesson. You play. So okay, you will tell us the title after.
Probably one of. I'll tell you later. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we listen immediately.
Nettoyer votre allée en moins.
Sorry. Yeah.
There are 2 tunes that I wrote for 2 friends of mine. The first tune is they're polkas, so they're in 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and they're kind of traditional based melodies, but they have a different flair. The first one is called The Man from Kilty. Kilty is a village in the centre of Ireland where one of my heroes come from, a man called Ben Lennon, a fiddle player from Leitrim, a traditional fiddle player, beautiful player. So that's The Man from Kilty. The second one wrote for a friend of mine in the Netherlands called Kees Schone. He also plays chromatic accordion, a piano key accordion, and he loves Irish music. And I just wrote a tune for him. It's but again, experimenting with the bass side of the instrument is something I love doing, and you can hear it there. Traditionally, the diatonic accordion came with 8 bass buttons, bass chord. So you had 8 bass options, which was extremely limiting. If you had imagination for B flat or for C or for so. That was me as a kid. I was kind of very frustrated because I wanted more. And over time, I found makers that will add another 2 buttons and another, so they'll make a 12 bass. Wow, I had a 12 bass. Wow, And then I went from that to my friends in Italy, the Castagnari company, because they were making, in Europe, 18 basses on a diatonic is quite normal. In Ireland, it's not. So I got one, and it was probably the first Irish accordion with 18 basses, and it introduced these lovely tonalities like B flat and E flat. And you could add that to the music. And when I listen back to some of the early recordings of the 1900s, you had jazz piano players, and you'd have heard a lot of chromatic accompaniment to very traditional music, and that's what I loved, and that's why I play the way I play.
Yeah, it's very great. And that's why in the CMA, when we decided to make this diatonic section, we created 77 categories immediately. Of course, because there are the people who play these 4 rows of button, and after you have the 8 on the bass, and after you have up to 24, and after you have the hybrid system, and after you have the people who play with friends and without friends, and after, of course, you have the people less than 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, and it's not the same. So we created, and I don't regret, and I'm sure that it will be help. It will be a big help for us. Yeah.
I think what you're doing is actually, traditionally, you'd have started off yourself as a chromatic player, but you're introducing people from the chromatic world to this other little instrument that's related, that is a cousin of your instrument. And it's important people hear everything. You mentioned Ukraine, you mentioned North Africa, you mentioned these places where people, you're hearing, because of Zoom and online and internet, you're now introducing this idea, this big musical family to the world, where you couldn't before because you had to meet them in person and you went to a location. Now your location is a computer screen anywhere in the world.
And everybody can see, and everybody on the same time can see. Yeah, it's fantastic.
But it always amazes me. You'll find the accordion in Addis Ababa. You'll find it in Ulaanbaatar. You'll find it in these exotic places that you'd never think. The humble accordion, that is a very European instrument.
Yeah,
that travels a bit to North America.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yes, there's not one country I've been that it was not accordion.
I don't think so. The accordion as an instrument, it's like in Russia, it's very different than in Europe, as you know. So it evolves and morphs into a different type of an instrument, but it's bellows and buttons.
Yeah, but it's like in Russia, they speak Russian, in France we speak French, you speak English, and we can communicate the same.
but music is its own language.
Yeah, it's genial. That's fantastic. Okay, so we go to Venture Hide Your Love Away. Speak about that.
This is a project. The female singer is a friend of mine, and the fiddle player is a good friend of mine. We always wanted to take and do a project with music that maybe is a bit more accessible for people. Not everyone wants to hear crazy notes on an accordion with dissonant basses, and they don't. Not everyone is into jazz. So you want to give them something. So we took a project where also no guitar, no stereotype accompaniment. So you have the accordion as an organ, as an accompaniment instrument, and using it to color and chord the backing of the singing. And that's how this project venture. Venture means try out, find an adventure, a venture, a trial, a kind of not an experiment, a new adventure, a new project, and to take music and to give it a different texture.
Great.
With the accordion.
Okay, what's the name of this lady who's singing so good?
The lady is Anne Brennan. She's from Connemara in the north, the west of Ireland, West County Galway, a beautiful musical region. She's one of my favourite voices. She's such a natural. She could just sing. She can sing a phone book. You know, she can read the newspaper and sing it. It's music. The fiddle player is a young guy, traditional player, but also has a great respect and understanding for other genres of music, and you can hear that in his playing.
Okay, we hear immediately.
Here I stand, head in hand, turn my face to the wall. If he's gone, I can't go on, feeling 2 foot small. Everywhere people stare, each and every day. I can see them laugh at me, and I hear them say, hey, you've got to hide your love away. Hey, you've got to hide your love away.
Nice venture. Such a romantic boy.
Yeah, well, it's a Beatles song. It's a song from the Beatles originally, and again, just to try something different and give a commercial, popular song something a bit different.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I like. So, and the next one is Paddy, again with the same guitarist, I think.
Yeah, it was with Shane, and again, probably from the same concert. Paddy is a tune I wrote for a friend of mine called Paddy Keenan, very famous piper, cornemuse, I think you call it.
Cornemuse.
And it's a very, very popular in the Irish music revival back in the 60s and 70s. He played in a band called the Botti Band, and he became a massive household name in Irish folk music worldwide. And I got to play with him. Accordion and pipes in Irish music isn't a common combination. It's not as common as maybe mainland Europe. The Irish pipes is quite different as well. Like the accordion, it's evolved a bit different. It's more octaves. I think it's another half an octave more than the European pipes. It has drones and regulators for like accompaniment, so they have their bass system on the pipes. And we done a tour together in Austria, above all places, for a couple of weeks, and I wrote this tune in honor of him because he was a hero of mine growing up. And through music, it's amazing. You get to meet your heroes. You get to meet people you were in awe of growing up. You know, I'm weird because I'm never starstruck. I'm never, oh God, my hero. I'm not like that. But when I meet them, I have great respect for them and give them their distance, right? Because there's nothing, you know, I'm sure these giants of music have a lot of, sometimes they get tired and they don't want to be oh yeah, oh, you're brilliant. No, they're people. And I think what I love about it is I got to meet my heroes, but realize that they're really people, and I love that they're like me, or they're normal.
Yeah.
They drink coffee, they talk, they give out about the government, they hate the weather, they do all these normal things, and they're it's good to know that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. So we listen Paddy immediately. The harmonies are something like I really like, and something impressive is because we don't know each other, so you don't know what I do. But I'm a teacher, and I have some students from worldwide, and I always fight against this kind of position on the fingers when they play because it makes tension on the fingers. They are always far away, and they don't have the time to control the release. And you are always like that on your keyboard, and it's fantastic because you never lose time. You have plenty of time to control the release, which is a relation between the sound. And I'm happy. so important.
When I was growing up, the instrument that we had was a single low accordion, and behind the fingerboard was a thumb strap.
Yeah.
And there's a few Irish players that I play with a lot of bad habits. One bad habit is my thumb is behind the fingerboard. So the fingerboard is there, and my thumb is not visible.
Like Russian
Some
system,
people play, so most people play like this.
Mm-hmm.
So in one way, yes, you can be quite limited.
Yeah.
But then it's what you know. Huh? Django had two fingers and a thumb. He done okay. He done okay with two fingers and a thumb.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what, like what I try to tell students as well is, these are only excuses. Oh, I can't, my finger won't reach. Make it reach. Stretch. Make it.
Keep it there.
Keep it there, it's fine. Push a bit harder.
So you have a great compliment from Graham Lowry. Do you know Graham Lowry? Graham Lowry, yes. It's very famous in chromatic system. And he just say, this has been a great broadcast. Yes, Graham. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we arrived to the end of this interview, and because the child are waiting for the result, but it's so great. We will listen a last title, but I will say to you goodbye before, because during the time we listen the last title, I have some mechanic things to do to invite the vice president, to make a lot of things. Daniel, I'm very, very happy. It's not because we are online. I can say what I want. It's live. We say what. But I'm
and thank
so
you,
happy.
Frederick. Yeah. Thank you very much. And thanks for inviting me here. Thanks for asking me to do this. As an Irish player, I spend a lot of time in Europe. I spend a lot of time in France and Italy and Spain, and I'm not unfamiliar with the organetto or the small Italian instruments or the chromatic instrument. But it's lovely to get an opportunity to just give my little section of an opinion, or from a lifetime of experience. I'm 45. I'm doing this since I was 7. I'm playing professionally since I was very young, 15 years of age. I was playing. I started my career at 15 years of age playing. It's something I live for. This world of music. To some people, it's a hobby, or a pastime, or a luxury. To me, it's life.
Yeah, we see.
It's what I do, and it's lovely to share that with the world via the World Wide Web and this new time we're in. And I hope what I gave today might be some level of beneficial to some people. And thank you.
If I was a candidate on this competition, I would be so proud to have you as jury member. Right.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
So, David, thank you so much. We will finish by Deja Vu, which is a French name, but it's a lovely song, yeah. So, a few words before we leave on that song.
Deja Vu, I made an album 4 or 5 years ago called Einar. Einar is Irish for solitary, alone, one person, one soul. And it was just myself recorded this album. I also done the artwork. You can see it on Spotify, or if you'd like to buy it, you can buy it.
Cool.
But Einar is the CD, and it's all new music. I'm also a member of a group that, just before I go, a very important group in my musical life is a group called Accordion Samurai, which is a group of...
Yeah, I know, with Riccardo Tesi and, yeah, of course.
Riccardo and Keppa Junquera and Marco Lepiste and Simone Betasso, with our agent Frédéric Dumont from Belgium. And we had 10 glorious years playing, producing very weird music for the diatonic accordion, like the Accordion Tribe, for instance, and the chromatic, and or Danças Ocultas in Portugal. And it was an unbelievable experience for a young Irish guy to finally be among what I felt like was my own people. Crazy accordion players that love to create and play weird music and write music. And I got to meet, again, my heroes. I got to meet Riccardo Tesi and Keppa Junquera and people that I saw in video clips myself, you know. And here they are sitting beside me and drinking coffee with me and talking about accordions. And you realise how small it all is.
Yeah.
It's a very small little world, this music. You know, we're all doing we're all looking for the same thing. Exactly. Even those of us that are famous or better off or well known, we're still looking for that thing. We're looking for this. And the fulfillment, the fulfillment of that. And I think all I'll say is this piece of music, Deja Vu, it sums that up. It's a search for. When I wrote it, I remember why I called it Deja Vu is I dreamt of a bit of the melody before. I thought I made it up before, Deja Vu, you know, it's coming back to me again. But it's also a piece of music that kind of sums up my journey in this, you know, because I play lots of music. I play folk music, but then I write the strange stuff that I really love, but it's harder to sell. You know, and you have this battle between what the tradition, the tradition, and your love, which are really connected, but one is more accessible than the other.
Of course, compromise sometimes. Yes, we have to do. Okay, so thank you.
Compromise sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. So thank you so much. Goodbye. I will finish with this interview with this music. I will let you go out alone from Zoom because I cannot do with my 4 fingers. And it's the first time we met, but not the last.
Not the last. No.
Not the
And thank you for your work.
My pleasure. Bye, bye, bye.
Hold up now.
Yeah.
It was David Munnelly, such a revelation. Highland Got Talent, my friend. Hello.
Definitely.
Hello, Raymond Baudel, the Vice President of the CMA. How are you since yesterday night?
Very well, and yourself?
You see?
Time passes quickly, back again, but
yeah.
very well.
Exactly. So we have 2 categories today.
Exactly. We have 2 categories today. We've moved up from 12s that we were at last night, and we're now at the 14-year-old category. And we've got 2 of those categories. I'm sure, first of all, though, you'd like to introduce the jury.
Yeah, I should know them by memory now, but no. So we have from Belgium, Benjamin Mack. Then we have Steve Normandin will be my guest tonight from Canada. Antonio Rivas from Colombia. Philippe Krum from France. David Munnelly, of course, from Ireland. Danilo Di Paolo Nicola from Italy. Antonio Tanguma from Mexico. Luis Pinedo from Portugal. Sophie Petkevich from Russia. Peter Kozan from Slovakia. Denis Novato from Slovenia, Clement Hoser from Slovenia, Manuel Savron from Slovenia, and Ilza Stridham from South Africa. Done.
Wow, well done.
Yep.
Getting that into a routine now, aren't we? Should have it ready by next weekend.
Yes, I will be ready for the next weekend, my friend. I love your humor. Okay.
Anyway, we'll start off with our results. First of category this morning is category F1. Little explanation about category F1. F refers to the age. We are talking, as I say, about 14 and under category. And 1 means they are using instruments with 4 bass. So that's the concept of the category. And in this category, a little competition between 2 Italians. And in fairness, it was a competition because the marks were very, very, very close indeed. Seriously, when you look at it, there was 15 judges. And of course, they don't vote for your own country, just for anybody new. And equally, we take away the 2 highest and the 2 lowest. And we do all the calculation of the remaining average to have only 2 hundredths between them. It's quite small.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there is a first place and a second place in this case, both second prizes. But as I say, 22.69 to 22.71 was the result. Anyway, which way round was it? That was the suspense element. On this occasion, we had in second place the Luca Nardriani.
And he will play Allegra Donzella e Tarantelle. That's it. We listen immediately that second place on this category F1. Bravo. Nice energy for this candidate from Italy. And
our winner of this category, first place, went to Anna Venditella, also from Italy.
yeah. And you were speaking that the jury member cannot give point for the same country of them. And I just heard from this morning that Denis Novato from Slovenia is born in Italy, so he has double nationality. So he didn't have a lot of work to do this year because so many.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but of course he had the opportunity as a jury member to listen to the videos if he wanted to, but of course not a lot of work to do.
Great. So the name of this lovely girl from Italy?
Is Anna Venditelli.
Yes, and she will play Polka delle Formiche. Formiche or Formiche? I don't know. Okay, let's listen. Es un saltarello. Let's go. That's it. And it's done. Lovely girl from Italy playing this saltar. We begin to know it now. It's not the first time.
You're learning.
yeah. But I discovered so many things. So I love
It's amazing. Yeah. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I love
Excellent.
that. And now,
Okay, we move to our second category that we're looking at this morning. Again, still 14 years of age. So therefore still an F category. We're at F2 now. F2 is 14 years, but with 8 bass. So that's the difference in the category structure. Excellent performance given what the jury seemed to think of it, because a very high score for the candidate in this category, 23.78. Wonderful mark, as I say, from such a large jury. And they come from Slovenia. Obviously, joining us now, it's Gaspar Sajna.
you see the magic of Zoom and of internet. You speak about, poof, he arrived, like Harry Potter couldn't do better. Hello, Gasper.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
You're happy?
Yes.
Great. Show it. So it's a very new competition for us, and I think it's not the first time for you in competition. You have made some other competition already, no?
Yes.
Okay. And I saw from Facebook that your father is also accordionist.
Yes.
Okay. And it's because of him that you play accordion?
Kinda, yes.
Kind of, yeah. He say to you play accordion, or you wanted to play accordion?
My brother play and then I won.
Okay, the whole family won. Bravo.
Yes.
Okay, and who is your teacher? Because you are very young. How old are you first? Mine is 14, yes. Okay, but...
Yeah. My teacher is Robert Gotter.
Yeah, and he just contacted me. I sent him an email and he said, yes, I have just to download Zoom, so I don't know if he'll succeed or not, but we never know. So how many years you play accordion?
10 years.
10 years. So you already won some competition, international competition?
Yes.
Which one? Tell me.
National championship in my category, and yes.
Okay. So what kind of accordion do you play?
Diatonic and piano.
Okay, because on the diatonic accordion, I see a picture. It's what's the name? Router.
Router.
Okay, and you have a lot of buttons. Which category are you? It's a hybrid or which? Or what is it? I don't know. I'm lost in category. So
Normal with more buttons.
okay, yeah. You have 8 rows of buttons on the left. That's the category, of course. And you have how many buttons on the right? You know?
I don't know.
You never count. Bravo. But you have a lot, because when I see your instruments, the right hand look exactly like a chromatic accordion button.
No, it's not the same.
No, I mean, there's a lot of buttons. That's all.
Yes.
Of course, it's not the same. So, what repertoire did you play? Do you remember?
Play Sable, Tango, La Composita, and Harmonica Fest.
Okay, I like that. I listened to the voice of your father. It looked like you don't remember what you played.
Yeah.
Thank you, father. Can we see the father online? Hello, father. So I'm very happy to see you. Congratulations for the work you have done with your son, because I know how many efforts must make fathers and mothers for the child. So, and look at the surprise. Ta-da! You will not believe what I see. But he's here. Génial. Hello, professor. Can you hear me? He's new on Zoom, so that's why he will never find the sound. Robert Gotter, you need to press the sound. You listen to me? Yes. And no, you need to press a button. Perhaps I can. Okay. So the time that he finds the sound, perhaps you can ask your father to phone him and say that you have to press on the sound or something. No. Okay. Anyway, we see his face. If I send a message to him, I don't know how. So because we're not friends of Facebook. So okay. Anyway.
Try on Zoom.
Not yet. I mean, I sent him an invitation. So Gasper, we can speak a little bit more. What is your next future for next year on your accordion life?
Yeah. I don't know. I want to have my band in the future. And more competitions.
More competitions? Okay, so next year you will be 15?
Yes.
Okay, so the category for you, it's you have the choice for next year. You have 2 options. You know, in the CMA you have or International Open Trophy level that you can go on minus 16 years old, or you can go to Trophée Mondial Junior, which is a higher level. Robert?
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Nice to see you. You just arrived on time. Perfect.
Perfect timing.
Yes. So, you are accordionist, of course. You are teacher. Speak a little bit about you, your life. We are very curious on the CMA.
Yes, I play accordion, diatonic accordion, like almost 35 years. I teach accordion also like 25 years. And Gasper Steiner is one of the best students. He learns very fast. With his lower age, he understands how music goes.
Great.
What are the feelings? What must you put inside? How to interpret the music? And I can only say that Gasper is very talented boy, and I'm very pleased and honored to teach him.
Okay, and you can be also pleased and honored to have a winner on this international competition, the first time on the CMA that we create the Diatonique section, and he won that category with, can you, Raymond Baudel, the vice president, can you remind the number of points?
Wonderful score, 23.78 as an average from the whole jury. It's an excellent mark, first prize, excellent work.
Yeah, because as perhaps you don't know, Robert, because it's very new rules for even for us. But to get the first prize, the jury member need to give 23.5 on the average, and I can say that they are not that generous this year, Raymond. But so it's excellent score. We didn't have so many first prize in the whole weekend, Raymond.
Good.
So
We've had one up. Well done.
So it's great, great artist, Gasper, but a great teacher, Robert. That's why I wanted to have you a few minutes on Zoom, and you just arrived on time, so you did it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So I hope that we will meet soon live, because the goal of the CMA is not to stay is live online. Normally we go in one country every year, but because of COVID, of course, you understood that we cannot do that this year and last year. But I hope that next time we will meet live. And how many students do you have, Robert?
I have very a lot of students, and I'm very satisfied that in my history I have educated the world champions, European champions, the state champions, and this is the work I'm like to do. I like to work with the young talents, also with the older person, no problem. Everyone that wants to play Steirische harmonica, accordion, is welcome with me.
Great, that's a nice information. So of course, if some students want to have your contact, you are very easy to find, because I found you immediately this morning on Facebook. So it's very great. So thank you, Robert, for your time and your disponibility. Congratulations for your work. Gasper, world champion, bravo.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Gasper, we hope to see you next year again on the higher category, and to see how good you improved. And Raymond Baudel, before we leave, and we will finish by listening all the program of this candidate, can you give information about tonight?
Yes, of course. Tonight, again, another, I'm sure, very fascinating interview, because the guest tonight is Steve Nomadden, organizer of the festival in Quebec, from Canada. I'm sure we have a lot of information and another wonderful time. And we'll continue with our 14s results. Tonight we move on to F3 and the result of the category, which is with 12 to 24 basses.
Okay, so see you at 6:30. Gasper, see you very soon. We finish with your program. We will listen. And Raymond, see you tonight at 6:30. Bye-bye to everybody. And I say the program again about this candidate. Cacciatorian, La Danse du Sabre, Harmonica Fest from Gunther Amann, and La Comparsita, of course, everybody knows. Bye to everybody.
Bye-bye.
And congratulations to the winner.